Here is a sequence. Let's begin and enjoy.
I was going to have you start with big toes together, knees wide like that. And I was going to demonstrate how with a chair or something really high, you can do it like this and have a whole different experience of the pose where your feet are up high and you might feel it differently, but your hips are going to be even on the floor so you're not distorting your hips. So I'm just showing a couple of versions, but I know you said you have your thing, but the pillow. But the other way to do it is if you had two blocks or two pillows. This is especially good if you don't have any blocks. You can do it this way with the support under the thighs. So it could be blocks like this. Or it could be pillows, but anyway, so you can just put your feet on that pillow to give yourself a little height, but then you just have the hips down and that nice rotation. Being outside, it's not sometimes it's great laying down on the mat. Sometimes it's good to do a standing practice outside, but either way, keep my eye out. And then you can really take your breath. I'm going to do the demonstration with my feet on the chair. You can take your breath right down into those thigh sockets. You can even put your hands here in those thigh sockets and see if you can feel the breath just move into that space. And then gravity, in this case, I should probably scoot in closer. I'd get more of a stretch, but gravity has my legs so that there is something moving back into my hips. And I feel a bit of stretch right into those thigh sockets. So from this position, I can really put my hands here and feel the breath move down there. And the other place you can focus on the breath is that whole back body around the side rib cage when you're breathing. See if you can feel that widening through the rib cage as you inhale and it expands, and then as you exhale, it moves around. And then slowly bring the knees together. Now, with a chair, I could almost have one foot here and then lift the other one for a stretch, or I can have the foot bent on the floor with the knee bend, just to give a little bit of stretch in the hamstring. And then bend that leg down and bring the other leg up, and just holding the arms on the calf muscle, the thigh, or even the foot would be a nice way to stretch. As long, my shoulders right now are a little bit off the floor as I hold my foot, but I'm trying not to lift them to my ears. But this can be a really nice stretch. Just hanging the hands off here, working those biceps back to the shoulder. And then bend that leg in. So now we'll do a little bit of abdominals with the palms down next to you, or you can interlock the hands under your head and bend the knees myself a little more space. So we'll do a few like this, where we bend the knees in, straighten both legs up to the top. Exhale, bend them in, straight, bring the feet down. You can also add intensity to the pose by bringing the arms overhead. So then, on the next one, we're going to add a little variation. You'll bend the knees in. Now you straighten one leg up and one leg towards the floor. If you want more intensity, you're going to keep the heel hovering, and then you bend both knees in again, and you extend through the other legs, one down and up, I should say. Right now I have my right leg up and my left leg down, and then bend them into the center again. That helps release the abdominals. And then the opposite side, and then bend the knees in and extend. And then bring the knees in, place the feet on the floor, and then you can just press up and release the hips a little bit, especially if there was a little bit of, and actually it might feel nice right now just to press up the heels and stretch through the front body a little bit, just a small little bridge pose, and then rolling down and coming up. This would probably be a good class to do some sun salutations as well, but we'll start simple. We'll start with, we'll raise the spine into the cat tilt, and then we inhale to the dog tilt, and then here you're going to tuck those toes under and come into a downward facing dog. And then on your next inhale, you bring the knees down and go into big toes together, knees wide. And then coming back up to all fours, you round the spine into a cat tilt. Inhale to a dog tilt. Tuck the toes under into a downward facing. And then bringing the knees down and big toes together, knees wide. And then inhale, coming up. Again, we'll round the spine into cat tilt. Inhale into dog tilt. Tuck the toes and come into downward facing dog. And then you can either step or jump the feet to the hands. So if you jump, you just bring them through, but you want them bent, because we'll do some variations of some sun salutations. And then from here, keep the knees bent, and then just slowly roll up. I'm just going to shift my mat over so I don't get too wild here. But what we'll do is we'll bring the arms through the side and up to the sky. And then we'll circle them down so that you can do a swan dive. So really bring the chest through. Now, if you have problems with the hamstrings, bend the knees. If you're okay in the hamstrings, you can come all the way down. Now you've got your fingers on the side of your feet, and we'll start simple. We'll keep the knees bent, take the right foot back, and then the left foot back, and come into a downward facing dog. And then we'll bring the knees down And go into big toes together, knees wide. And then we'll do a little scoop through, so you can slowly scoop the chest through and come up to an upward facing dog. And then tuck the toes under, go into a downward facing dog. And then we'll bring the right foot between the hands. You can always bring your arm to bring you there, your hand to help you bring the foot between the hands. And then you bring the other foot there. And if you're okay in the hamstrings, you can straighten the legs, really bring the arms up through the side and up to the top again. And then exhale them down. And then we'll try that again. Inhale those arms up through the side. Then we'll press the palms out to do that swan dive. So you're bringing that chest through. And if you're okay in the hamstrings, you can have straight legs. If you need to have a bend, you can bend. And then take the opposite leg, so the left leg back into a lunge. Right leg back to come into downward facing dog. And then bend the knees down, going into big toes together, knees wide. And then you're slowly scooping that chest through and coming up to an upward facing dog. And then you can bend the knees down, toes tucked under, downward facing. You can always challenge yourself if you want more. And then bring the left foot back between your hands. You can always use your hand to bring it through, so you're in a lunge. And then the right foot to meet it. And then you can keep the legs straight or the knees bent. And you can really scoop those arms out to the side and back up. And then just bring the hands down. So we'll do 2 more this way. So we'll inhale the arms up through the side, and then we'll pivot the palms so that we can swan dive forward. And then you can, if you have the knees bent, you just take that right leg long behind you, left leg to meet it, into downward facing dog. And then you bring the knees down, big toes together, knees wide. And then you bend the elbows, so you're trying to bring the chest through and coming up to upward facing dog. You can be on the tops of the feet. You can keep the knees down if you need to, and then go into downward facing dog. And then bring that right foot back between your hands, and then the left foot to meet it, standing forward bend, and then you can scoop the arms out to the side, coming up, and exhale, coming down. There are so many variations of downward facing dog, or downward facing dog, of sun salutations. So now just bring the arms up again, and then do really swan dive. You're okay in the hamstrings, so you can have straight legs. If you need to bend the legs, you bend the knees. And then take that left leg long behind you into a lunge. And then the right foot to meet it. And then bend the knees down, go into big toes together, knees wide. And then really pressing those hands down, you bring the forearms down, you're trying to scoop that chest through, coming up to upward facing, then coming back down to downward facing. And then inhale the left foot between the hands into the lunge, right foot to meet it, standing forward bend, and then you can really lift those arms up bring the hands down. A couple of breaths here. And then you're going to lift up that left leg. So you've got that flexion there. And then you're going to start to bend the front leg. You've got that heel that you're lifting behind you. And then you bring the top of the foot there and inhale those arms up to warrior one pose. And then to come out of it, the arms come down. You bring that back foot in, lifting it up, and then bring that foot down. So it's like a step. It's like it's a 90-degree angle. So then again, lift the right leg up, and then you're going to really press through the foot and the heel as you bring that leg long behind you. And then inhale those arms up. Warrior one pose or warrior lunge. And then exhale the arms down, bring that back foot in, lift it up, and then bring it down. Couple of breaths there. And then standing on the right foot, lift the left leg up again. This time, as you bring it back behind you, you're going to bring that heel down and that foot down so you can go into Parsvakonasana. And you can stay here with the arm down, or up and over, or behind. Lots of options for the arm work. We're really trying to get the solidity in the legs. And then you're going to pivot back around and bring that foot slowly in, back into that flexion, and then bring the foot down. And then inhale the right foot up, and then you're going to slowly bring it behind you, put the foot down into Parsvakonasana. The arm can come up, it can come behind, it can be straight up. So many options here. And then pivot back around, bring that back foot in, and bring it down. And then we're going to go into tree this way. So I'm going to come into the center of the mat so you can see me better. You can stay where you are. So first bring the leg up like you just did, and then pivot the knee so that it's out and the foot's on the thigh. And then the hands can come into prayer and overhead. And then release the arms and release the legs, coming back into Tadasana. And then flex the other leg up. So this is a really great thing to do to work on your balance if you're having balance issues. Now see if you can bring the foot to your thigh. If you can't, you can have it lower down on your calf muscle or your ankle. And then the hands can come into prayer. And then if you're feeling stable, they can come overhead. And then the foot down. Come down into a few breaths of big toes together, knees wide. And you can either put your forehead onto your hands, or you can put the forehead down and the arms on your side. And then have a few breaths here. Because during the morning, you don't need as much Shavasana or rest time.
but that pose is a nice way to complete this kind of practice before you have to go off to a meeting. So this was when you only have 15 to 20 minute practice. This is a waking up practice. So if you need to do inversions or shavasana later in the day, this is a practice you can do if you're running off to a meeting or you just have a little bit of time and you want to get the body going. Namaste. Many blessings to you, and have a beautiful day and enjoy.